What do you think the personality will be of the Seahawks moving forward? We've spent a lot of time talking about their identity. We talk about that all the time. That's one of our favorite words here on the show. We've talked about their philosophy and how they're going about trying to execute on it, right? We've talked about, the players and the direction they're going. We talk about their needs and their strengths and their weaknesses. But in the last couple of years, they've moved on from, just this offseason, probably the three biggest personality, or maybe the three most well-known personalities in Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, and obviously Tyler Lockett. Right? Tyler was probably the person we had gotten to know the best. The year before that, they moved on from Pete Carroll, who was by far the personality we knew the most, and Bobby Wagner, who we'd gotten to know, especially, remember when all the LOB guys kind of left and Bobby was the last one, they started to really elevate him in the media, right, and press conferences, and kind of just getting him out there as one of the faces of the team opposite Russell Wilson. So, we've lost 5 players and coach there, like 5 people that were very much the faces of the organization for the last half decade or so. So what will be the personality now that you're looking at least currently? Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp and Spoon, and I'm not even really sure who else. Like, what is the new personality of the Seahawks?
Yeah, I'm trying to think around the league. So my mind is kind of spinning, on the past year, as you mentioned, that was so clearly defined, just like your unique way about you.
Thank you.
The LOB and Pete kind of defined the personality of this team for so long here. I'm trying to think around the league. I think many times it's dictated not just by organizational chart of GM and coach and all that and trickle down, but largely quarterbacks. Like Buffalo is defined. Their personality is Josh Allen, right? He's just the rambling wreck and jumping and running through guys and just kind of Wyoming cowboy that's made a home up in upstate New York. Baltimore is obviously defined by Lamar's edge. Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, because Lamar plays the game just very reckless, physical.
Yeah. I guess I think that Harbaugh's been there for so long and through so many different iterations that there's still like a Baltimore
bully.
Yeah,
and
there's
so
still a Baltimore element of it. Like, I don't know. I agree to a point.
Yeah.
And by the way, teams can have more than just one personality. It's not like they completely, just like they don't have just one leader. I mean, I get that teams aren't just going to have one personality that defines them.
Yeah, Derrick Henry helps that bully vibe.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, he has.
No doubt.
Yeah, I think yesterday, man, was Cooper Kupp about as likable oppressor as you've ever heard. I mean, from the Pearl Jam shirt, by the way, and looking forward to you listening to 10, Lyle. That's actually one album that I listened to a lot. I was a bouncer at a Pearl Jam concert, by the way. I had to tell somebody to put their pipe down. Couldn't believe trying to smoke. What are you doing in my aisle here? Put that thing down.
You were a bouncer?
Well, yeah, security. Security. All the big guys were up front at the mosh pit. I was up in the stands with the
Brock was the
potheads.
narc telling people to stop smoking weed at a Pearl Jam concert.
What are you doing? You put that pipe
Excuse
down.
me, sir. Sir.
Yes. We will have none of that.
This isn't the Grateful Dead, sir.
Not in my section. So starting with the Pearl Jam T-shirt to just kind of everything of the homecoming, there was I don't want to say a Hasselbeck vibe because he's Yakima and he's Eastern Washington. He's not Boston, but it's a likability. My goodness gracious. I couldn't stop listening to him yesterday.
No, you were really into it. Well, I've got a lot of it, and we're going to play quite a bit over the course of the morning.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting that both this is so stupid. It's very cowherdish. But, like, the fact that both he and Darnold wore their flannels, right? He had his Pearl Jam shirt under the flannel, right? But they both kind of I don't know, tried to fit in a little bit. Like, yeah, all right, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to put a little thought behind it.
Yep.
I think that's probably what jumped out to me. Not that I'm not going to go down the road of like, they're flannel guys. They're from the Northwest. They get it. They are us. Like, I don't think that's it. That's not the take.
But they've been around the block enough to know what's kind of the savvy move.
Yeah, I think it was because it was a little tongue in cheek, especially with Darnold, right? Like everybody commented on it, and he kind of had a smile, like, yeah. I want it to fit in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm coming here. I put a little thought behind it. And maybe that will be some of the personality of this team. Like, there's just a little more thought behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It fits certainly with Mike McDonald and who he is and a lot of the thought that goes into his everyday decisions regarding the team. Cup was asked essentially on Wyman and Bob what he wants to bring to this team and specifically to the wide receiver room.
In so many places, I want to be able to be used, and so that's how I've built myself. That's how the tool belts, the techniques, and things that I've tried to learn. I want to be able to be impactful in all those things, and beyond that, I think the thing that when we've been at our best is when the receiver room specifically plays for each other. When you can get the receivers to play for each other, a lot of the other stuff falls in place, right? Because the receiver room is typically the place that is the hardest to get people to do that for, right? And you get these guys, if you can get a room to play for each other and go out there and say, hey, you're watching a guy run with the ball, but what are the other guys doing that don't have the ball? How are they blocking for each other? How are they playing after the ball's been caught? What's the urgency to go get a hand on somebody? Make this small play into something great, into something big, and that's like that mindset in the receiving room. If we can do that, if we can be able to set the standard in that regard, I think that goes a long way. And
how hard do I run my clear? I'm not an option on this route in this progression, but I got to bust it like I am. I got to cut through those safeties and clear it out so that in cut can come, or I got to create the spacing for my buddy next to me, and I got to do it as hard, even knowing the ball's not coming my way, as I do as if it is coming my way. And there's a word that Mike has used this offseason. Maybe it's the new term that we'll hear more of through OTAs and training camp. He dropped it a few times on us last year when he came to Devin Witherspoon. But he's already said it at the Combine. He said it at one of these pressers the other day. And when I think of Cooper Kupp specifically, he's this. And what he just said is this. But force multiplier. This dude's a force multiplier. DeMarcus Lawrence, you felt that. He had like a personality, right? And obviously, Hawkblogger appreciated him really multiplying the looks and the viral moment that they had that's still being talked about. But I think that's going to be, we're going to be understated in some of our personality because that's John Schneider, that's Mike McDonald, that's a little of the Pacific Northwest at times, and that's certainly some of their personality. We can be understated, but we are going to be force multipliers. And you're going to kind of feel
that's one view of it. There's another view of this too. And by the way, I got two texts in a row. One says these guys are just posers insulting fans. I think both of those guys wearing flannels is ridiculous.
Wow.
It's like them showing the Pike Place and Fish Market on Monday Night Football.
Okay.
I don't know. I thought it was more tongue-in-cheek than that.
Feels hot at 7 o'clock on Wednesday morning.
I thought it felt a little more tongue-in-cheek.
Was that a 206? What was that? 360?
I think it was one of each, to be honest.
Give me what that was.
That was a 425 and a 206.
425. The 425's mad?
Yeah, 425 is the one who called them posers. Yeah, I think that's about right.
Yes.
Here's the one problem with this whole conversation. Brock, how many times have you told me? If you've told me once, you've told me 1,000 times.
Let's see.
Where should the personality of the team come from?
You're unique.
Where should the personality of the team come from?
Line of scrimmage. Yep.
And when I hear Ray Roberts yesterday,
I just think it's a mindset and a perspective thing. When the conversation about offensive line around here it's always like it's a lesser than, or if we see someone that is more impactful than, and it's like, why don't you ever talk about the offensive lineman in those terms? Like the offensive lineman is more than, because
they haven't been, right? And here's another one from Ray on that.
The offensive line here is seen more as like a ends to a means and not necessarily like a weapon.
Yep.
Those are great points. I'm glad that we're having a conversation about personality. I do think that Cooper Kupp and Sam Darnold will play a big role in that.
So you want Gray's able to wear a flannel when they take him in.
I don't know if I need
That's
that.
kind of what you want.
But I think I would like that. I mean, I wish we were talking about the offensive line as being those tone setters. And until you've got some dudes, we're not going to be doing that. Well, we really do appreciate you guys watching our videos.
And remember, you can like it, you could subscribe it, you could download the Seattle Sports app so you never miss a minute.